This week on Ticket Stubs, from Gorefest to Ballfest. Today we're talking about Chris Rock's police procedural from 2021. It's Spiral from the Book of Snore. From the Book of Saul. Hello, Ciarin. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, mate.
Hello, Dane. Hey, Ryan.
Hello, CC. What a great intro, Dana.
Thank you.
That tickled me.
I hold such contempt for this film. I was pretty proud of that.
Is it?
Able
That
to get
tickled me.
3 insults in one sentence.
Congratulations.
You did well.
Thank you.
It's even better that it was your pick as well, which just makes it so much better.
It was my pick, and I know, Ciarin, you apologised making us watch Bite, but we knew Bite was going to be pretty shitty. I had at least some mild hope for Spiral, and now it's my turn to apologise because it sucked.
Get on your knees.
Not in a weird way. That's a different time.
But I guess before we get into it, are you both well? What week are we now into lockdown? Week 1000?
1001.
It's close. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good.
You know.
I love being at home with my dogs. How are you guys?
Pretty good.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I went for a little I went for a bike ride the other day, and my partner went for a roller skate alongside me. And when she was skating along, she decided to fall over and grab me while I was on my bike, and we both ate pavement. So,
Can you guys recreate Napoleon Dynamite?
Just pull her along behind.
Hey, can you give me a ride into town?
But yeah, no, it's all good. Just trying to keep the old head up, get outside every now and then stay inside for the rest of the time watching movies.
Good old vitamin D.
Alrighty.
Does your body good.
And I've been gaming a hell of a lot, so that does help to fill in some of the
What
time.
have you been playing?
Doom Eternal, which seems to never end as well. I was like, oh yeah, I've got to be close now. And then 3 hours later, I'm like, okay, this has got to be close now. But yeah.
It's in the name, isn't it?
What an absolutely fantastic game, though.
Oh,
what a pick.
It's the best. I really love it.
You can't go wrong with Doom. Have you guys seen the Doom soundtrack perform live?
No.
Oh my goodness. We have a YouTube video to watch later. It is amazing.
Yeah, wow. Well, I'm only such a rookie too. I only just started, I don't know if you guys do this, but I've been playing Doom with headphones on, and it is incredible. Instead of through my TV. Oh my god, the sound is just deafening in your ears. It's incredible.
I am terrible at first-person shooter games because my glasses are so thick and I have no depth perception, so I envy you.
Just get some new eyes, Ciarin. You'll be right.
If I had $1.
Okay, shall we get into it?
I think so.
We shall.
Alrighty. Well, yes, this was my pick. Like I said, I'm very sorry, but yeah, we're watching Spiral from the Book of Saul, which is just such a strange standalone film. What did you guys think of it?
Do you actually watch any of the Saw films before suggesting this movie?
No, and I don't know why I haven't seen any of the other Saws, and I don't know why I suggested this. I'm a Saw virgin up until this. I saw the trailer, and I got kind of real. I don't want to taint the great movie with this filth, but I got a real feel of Seven from it, and I was like,
I have that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, wow, this is going to be interesting. I don't mind Chris Rock, and it was not good. Have you boys seen either of the Saws?
Yeah, I've seen all of them just randomly. I don't never sat down and watched all of them in succession. I think probably I watched the first 3 for the first time when I was in year 8. Wow. So that was a long time ago. I think because I'm 26 now. So what, year 8? I was 13. That was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
gross.
Are
you asking me or are you telling me?
I'm just realizing
On the
how
spot
old
maths
I
is
am.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like maths.
You'll be lucky to see 27 if you keep sassing me about age.
Shut your tiny mouth, boy. But yeah, so coming off the last Saw movie, so there's 9 in the series altogether, but Spiral is supposed to be a spin-off.
Yeah, it's a complete standalone. That it's like, yeah, it takes place within the other films, but it also at the same time doesn't relate to the other films so much.
It's almost like a soft reboot type of thing, that they seem to be doing with everything. But
that's nothing like the original.
Yeah, that has none of the qualities of the originals. It's just, yeah, let's do our own thing and have it make no sense.
So before this movie, we had Jigsaw, which I'm not even going to get started on that movie.
Yeah, people do not like that movie.
No.
That movie got slammed.
So I'll talk about like where I like to come from as a fan of the Saw movies. Saw 3D, the final chapter, which was a fucking lie, by the way. And it's also Saw 7. Do that math, Saw 3D, the not so final chapter. My grandchildren will be watching these movies. And before, so Jigsaw's dead, but he's left like a cult of people behind to spread his teachings. Mm. And now we're here, and Chris Rock is also there.
For some reason.
So they were actually in the middle of writing a prequel for John Kramer, which is Jigsaw. Mm-hmm. But then this project came up. Basically what happened, they were literally in the middle of writing it, and Lionsgate called them and said, hey, boys, you bloody stop writing this one because Chris Rock has decided he also would like to make a movie. So they put that one on hold to make the Chris Rock movie that we unfortunately got to watch.
Yes, I was watching an interview with him, and he was saying that he was at a wedding and was talking to some of the producers, and he's like, hey, have you thought about making Saw a bit funny? Because of course.
And then he goes, hey boys, let's make the bloodiest, goriest version of Law and Order ever.
But really boring. Oh, so I suppose like normal Law and Order actually. But yeah.
Law and Order SVU is where it's at. Come on. Mulder, yeah. Anyway, I love Law and Order SVU. But it's basically a fan film, but like by Chris Rock. Like he was apparently like super, super into the Saw movies, and just was really wanted to make one and star in it. And yeah, so he stars in it. He produced it. He ad-libs in it. He pulls that stank face like he's going to shit his pants.
It's his general like face of he's questioning everything, but also looks like he has IBS or something.
Yeah, he's like, I got a chip on my shoulder,
but I'm also shitting myself constantly.
So he kind of went, I want to make it funny. You guys sort out like the rest of it. So he wanted to focus on the jokes and let them figure out everything else. And a lot of the writers and the producers in interviews have said they didn't actually realize they were making a horror movie. They thought they were making something more along the lines of like Seven, like you said, Dane, or 48 Hours, that Eddie Murphy movie with Nick Nolte in it. That's you know it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So that's what they thought they were doing. And Chris Rock is over here like making his jokes and bloody fart assing about.
Like the writers of this one wrote a couple of the other Saws, and the director of this one directed a couple of the others.
Yeah.
So you'd think that like they kind of be able to know what's going on and have like Chris Rock just kind of swanning in. Is like, hey, I want to do this, and like, cool, we'll take charge. We'll just be the name.
Yeah.
Well, they accommodated him so much. So I don't know if you guys noticed, and Dane, you probably haven't realized, but most Saw movies don't take place during the day. Like normally, like everything happens at nighttime. I think there was one movie, in Saw 3D, there was one scene that occurred during the day, but very rarely do they happen in the daytime. So the whole vibe was really different, and that's because Chris Rock was also filming another movie at the same time, and he kind of went, "I'm the star. You guys write it, but I'm only available in the middle of the day." So they had to accommodate his schedule and shoot things during the day.
Right.
So it just killed the vibe, in my opinion.
You can't have a spooky movie in the day.
Yeah. It's not.
You can have.
It's not spooky. You
can have some aspects like in a horror movie set during the day, but majority of the movie has to take place at night for it to actually happen.
You can't hide under the cloak of darkness at night.
Oh my god, it's so sunny. I can see everything in the room. Oh my god.
Well, yeah, like the first 5 to 10 minutes of this movie, I was hooked. I was all in on this boy. Do we want to cover the intro ever so briefly?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, like,
so
basically, yeah, it takes place there at like a town fair, and there's this dude just strolling through, and he sees a purse snatching. So he chases after the purse snatcher. The purse snatcher's gone down into this manhole cover. And he's like, fucking hell. So he goes in after him. He's a cop chasing this purse snatcher, if that's not clear. Then you get you're in this train tunnel. There's a dummy there, and he walks up, he thinks it's the purse, and he kicks the dummy over, and then, here's this jigsaw copycat fella.
With a pig mask.
And then we get our first, wearing a pig mask. He throws some sort of chloroform sheet over the cop's face, and then we're into it. And I was like, great, this is cool. This is Saw. This is what I expected. He's like got his tongue in a trap that he's like, it's latched onto this cop's tongue, and he's got his hands behind his back, and he's balancing on a precarious little stool. I was like, this sounds like Saw to me.
I thought it was good. It did really suspend like all logic at the beginning, because it's like Saw. Is very. The trap is for a specific person. It's never random.
Yes.
So I was like, how did they know that bloke was going to chase the other bloke with the handbag?
That's what I had in my notes. I was like, would a cop really follow someone down into the sewer or the subway for a handbag? And how did they know he would see it and, act on that to get him down there? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it was really confusing.
A huge gamble of, oh boy, I hope he chases me down.
And I hope he doesn't shoot me.
All this trouble for nothing.
It is America. He's very lucky he didn't get shot in the face immediately for stealing that purse. Like, his whole thing could have gone ass over head. Like,
immediately,
shoot to kill. He stole a purse.
So the guy's hanging from the train, and then television, the subway, and the whole. I mean, I know a little bit about Saw, obviously, how Jigsaw talks through TVs and stuff, but this Jigsaw copycat is wearing like a big old pig mask. Like,
I did laugh when I first heard the voice too. I'm just gonna.
Oh yeah, I think I have. This is the most lackluster Jigsaw voice I've ever heard, and it was also really funny how they superimposed it onto the TV. Like, and it was really obvious.
Yeah.
Like, it was really shitty. Like, you think so? This set with the train cost half the budget of the original Saw movies. Original Saw movie, it was $1.2 million. And so they've spent $600K on this set. And then they're like, oh, shit.
Wow. It's a
guys, could you put the guy on the telly for me? Because we forgot about
we forgot that prop to get that working.
Yeah.
Over $500,000 for that. Anyway, speaking of budgets, from this movie alone, it helped push the Saw franchise to like over $1 billion. So like,
and like
that's really
pretty much all the movies have grossed over $100 million, except for 2 of them. Like, except for this one, and I think it was Saw 6. Yeah, but they were all around that $100 million mark. So yeah, they've done very well. I just think this movie's just so interesting too, because the budget for it was $20 million. And it doesn't look good. The sets are bad. The acting's bad.
I don't know.
Most of that, I reckon, went to Samuel L. Jackson, though, I feel.
Well, in it, when we get to reveal Samuel L. Jackson, he plays Chris Rock's father in this, but Samuel L. Jackson is just playing Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Like, which is great. Samuel L. Jackson's amazing, but it kind of, for that as well, like, I think I mentioned to you guys before, like, I would rather, for this sort of film, see nobodies on the screen, because I'm like, that's Chris Rock being Chris Rock. That's Samuel L. Jackson being a fucking badass. I'm like, of course, I'm watching a movie. But on what you were saying, Ryan, and this might be, provocative, I thought Chris Rock was actually really good in this.
I think it was the writing more than anything that hindered the film, but we can get more into that. in a little bit. We haven't even been introduced to Chris Rock yet because old mate's still dangling by his tongue in a fucking subway.
Yes, so he's
Yes.
hanging by his tongue. The telly comes on. It's like, hey, fella, you have lied so many times on the witness stand as a cop. Like, you can either, like, there's a train that's coming in 2 minutes' time. You can either jump and your tongue will get ripped out of your mouth and you'll avoid the train, or get fucking pulverized by the train. And there's, I'm guessing these are like, I may be wrong, they're quick, jagged camera movements. Is that like a typical Saw thing?
Yes.
Yeah, they tried really hard to replicate it. I feel like it was not done
well
in the same vein.
No.
Well.
It looked, I don't know. It just didn't give that same effect that the original, like, it does. This frantic, like, out of control camera moves with the blurring and the, all of that just works really well with the high intensity, like, new metal music. But, yeah, I don't know. Something was off about this as well from the start.
For some reason, it just looked really, I guess in the other movies, it looked really organic. This didn't look, it looked manufactured. Like, didn't look organic at all. Like, it was very off-putting.
Yeah.
Thank God there was no new metal in this, because I hate new metal. But the soundtrack was done by, I can't remember, one of you guys mentioned it, and I looked it up as well. 21 Savage,
21.
which I also really dug the soundtrack.
Yeah, and he is apparently a big fan of the Saw franchise, so one of the producer's sons or something was like, yo, we should get 21 Savage on this, and apparently he was like, hell yeah, that sounds sick.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you're going to get fucking paid lots of dollary dues.
Big time.
Go right ahead.
That's it.
So, he's hanging by the tip of his tongue, and he's panicking, and the train's coming, and he's still stuck there, so he leaves it so late. Like, he jumps right as impact. And
the train is almost on top of him, and then he's like, oh yeah, now's my time to jump. I'm going to live. Oh.
It didn't even, but like, and I'll talk about this again later, but the trap didn't look like it was actually made for him to escape from it.
Oh.
Like, it genuinely, because when he jumped, like, his whole bloody head split in half. Like, his whole bottom jaw came off. It didn't seem like that the copycat was setting them up to escape. It seemed like it was like, oh yeah, I'm going to kill you in the most brutal way possible.
And again, forgive my ignorance for the Saw thing, but all the traps in this, he gives everyone a chance to escape, but they will be horribly disfigured. Is that a Saw thing, or is that just in this movie?
That is...
Yeah.
So the whole thing about Jigsaw is that he picks people and puts them through such a terrible ordeal that they'll appreciate their life a lot more when they leave, and they normally will lose an arm, or they'll have to kill somebody, or they'll stab their eye out to get a key, or like, you know, all that kind of stuff. But they walk away with his whole MO is he wants them to have a bigger appreciation of the life that they have because they didn't before. But it didn't seem like this Jigsaw copycat was taking that kind of philosophy. It was just fucking them all up.
Well, yeah. We'll get to reasons as we go, which is... I can't wait to get to that. But, so he's obliterated by the train. He's dead.
Turned into jelly.
Yeah.
Turned into jelly.
And Dana, you're the most, like, squealish of all of us. Did you find that uncomfortable? The tongue trap?
No.
Oh, you're fine?
I actually thought the traps and the gore and everything was pretty cheesy and laughable. Like, I didn't feel uncomfortable in any of them.
Yeah, there was
you go.
one little bit in one of the traps, which I'll talk about when we get there, that I was like, oh, I don't like that. But yeah, I was like,
Ryan,
I found a little weakness
the
apparently.
iron stomach.
Yeah, which was a bit surprising.
And then we jump to Chris Rock doing like an improv set, basically in this hotel room where he's in this hotel room with these shady-looking characters. They're loading guns, and he's basically doing like a stand-up set talking about Forrest Gump. So Forrest Gump exists in the Saw universe, which is one of many pop culture references in this movie.
I have written here, why is Chris Rock doing a tight 5 to start off the movie?
I also have a very important question. I said, okay, what would the sequel to Forrest Gump actually be called? Too Gump, Too Furious? Or I have a second one. I have Forrest Gump 2, Back in the Habit.
Amazing.
I like it.
I also have written down Chris Rock looks weird without a mustache.
Yes, it takes a little bit to get used to.
It's like when your dad, when you're a kid, shaves his beard off for the first time and you don't know what to think about it.
Who are you, stranger?
Like, yeah, it's like he's got too much space between like his top lip and his nose, and it's like, what's missing?
They're there because they're there to pull off a heist in that very same hotel.
It is the introduction to Chris Rock. Actually, it reminds me a lot of Reservoir Dogs with the opening banter. Like the film kind of has a lot of nods to Tarantino films, but that one I was like, this is Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so he's undercover, and they're going to go do something in the same building that they're currently staying in to prepare for the heist.
They pull off this heist, and it goes flawlessly, and then, they all walk off. I'm like, yeah, cool, I can see Chris Rock being a badass. And then they jump in this car, and under the hotel car park, and they go to escape, and there's 20 cops there, and straight away, one of the cops goes, Zeke, and looks right at Chris Rock and blows his cover in front of all these criminals. Like, good job. So yeah, Chris Rock's undercover, and old mate's just gone and fucked up all his work.
Yeah,
which is so dumb.
So dumb.
He goes back to the station, and this is where the dialogue, like, you know how I was saying that the writing is just terrible.
Yeah.
He's in a room He's in a room with somebody he's supposedly known for years, like years and years. He's talking to the police chief, who's known for years. And despite the fact that they've known each other for years, they feel the need to talk about his career, his family, and the weather.
Yeah.
And going in depth about how nobody likes him, and my dad was the chief of police, and it's really hot. There's a heat wave going on.
Yeah, the heat wave is mentioned once, and then that's it. And the only time we're reminded that a heat wave is hitting the city is the entire film's covered in that kind of orange filtered tint.
And everyone is very sweaty throughout the whole movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is where, the film lost me. Like, it was all this, and Chris Rock's like, she's like, why did you go by yourself? And he's like, I fucking can't trust anyone, blah, 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 blah. And, okay, yeah, cool. Chris Rock with the chip on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into
and his stank face.
And his stank face. He's a sassy boy.
He is a sassy boy.
I kind of like that it was a female police chief, because usually in these things, I guess from the ones I've seen, it's like, a sweaty, middle-aged guy chewing out the renegade cop. But this is like...
yelling. Yeah,
a badass yelly woman.
A young yelly woman, too. She was a very young, very pretty yelly woman. No, I was just going to say with a nice haircut. But
with great makeup, great eyebrows, and a good haircut.
Yes, we get it, Ciarin. She's hot. We all agree. No one here is going to argue. She's a sexy chief.
And another thing. Her shoes.
Those pantsuits?
Continue.
Oh, my God.
So yeah,
I digress.
We find out that Chris Rock's got a chip on his shoulder because when he was a rookie, he turned in a dirty cop and he fucking got shot by someone, and now he can't trust anyone on the force. And basically, like, what I realized, because everyone on this police force doesn't really give a shit. Like, Chris Rock's kind of the only one trying to do good. It's like the Gotham police district. Like, all the cops are either corrupt or lazy.
Yeah.
And maybe he also is annoyed because he's got all of this golden material and nobody laughs at his jokes.
So because of his renegade antics and his refusal, she's like, you went undercover without telling anyone. You had no backup. Naughty, naughty boy. And he's like, I work alone. And she's like, not anymore. Here's your partner. And then we're introduced to bland white boy.
From The Handmaid's Tale. That's all I could say.
Nick from The Handmaids, yeah.
Yeah, what if he showed up with one of those hats on, like, in a red cloak? It's like, oh, God, wrong set.
Oh, no.
Sorry, guys. Third time this week.
No, but can I bring up a point about this first scene in the police station? I just had a thought. Why would a detective go undercover, especially if his dad was a well-known cop and is a hero, and then he was shot for turning in crooked cops? Wouldn't most of the criminals...
He'd be the worst person.
Yeah, wouldn't all the criminals in the city know him or his dad?
Yeah, it's like the worst person in the whole entire team. I can understand why Sexy Lady was pissed.
Yeah, how dumb are you?
And they get called to see what happened. So he gets his rookie partner, and they have to go see what happened in the train station.
That was my one and only favourite shot in that film too. Did you guys notice it was a long take?
Yeah, that was
Yes,
nice.
when they're walking down the stairs chit-chatting.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, oh, good job, guys. There's a little bit of effort. That's good to see.
And then Chris Rock was like, no more of those. Walking and
I don't have the
talking.
time.
It's not my thing.
But then when they get to the scene and the body that's sprayed out everywhere, it just looks so cheap and plasticky, and I was like, I'm bored.
But I did like one of my biggest pet peeves is when you're playing like a horror game or you're watching a horror movie and nobody's grossed out or freaked out, and they were actually like, "Oh God, what the hell is this?" And,
Someone get me a bag, but
yeah, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a hobo. A hobo got killed down here. That's what it is. It's just a hobo playing on the train tracks. A bloody rascal."
And he's like, "How many hobos do you know with a Fitbit?" Boom. Drops the mic. I was like, oh.
So they have to go back. They go back to the office.
By the way, with that, they go back to the office like 10 times.
Yeah.
They'll go somewhere, back to the precinct. Go somewhere, back to the precinct. Go somewhere.
Yeah.
There's as many return trips to the precinct as there is fucking flashbacks in this movie.
Well, Dave, you might...
Maybe they...
Yeah, you're not familiar with Saw, mate. Saw movies are just full of flashbacks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's like a running thing throughout Saw. It's like, oh, you don't know who this person is? Well, here's a backsplash. Like, yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, he talked about it for 5 minutes about his backstory. So why do we need flashbacks when you're going to put it in the dialogue immediately as soon as we meet him? I've got crooked cops put in jail and somebody shot me and Why wouldn't you just leave that for us to discover in the flashbacks? Like, that's why I don't like the writing in this movie.
Oh. And then we have to see that flashback too. Like, we know the whole story. And then they're like, do you want to see it again? And I'm like, no. And then they're like, all right, we're going to show you one more time. Oh.
Oh, no, but you see, they had to show us because in the flashbacks, they all had facial hair. So that we would know that there was a flashback and they could be like, look, it was different back then. They had moustaches. Sam Jackson had like a mustache straight out of Spider-Man. Get me that Spider-Man!
So we go back to the precinct, and then there's like a little present for Chris Rock there, and he's like, "Oh, prezzies!" And it's a USB. And we find out that the guy that got killed from the train, well, he was Rock's, I think, either former partner or friend or family.
It was his friend. It was his friend.
Buddies.
They were good. They were good mates.
Right. Okay. So yeah, Chris Rock's now. He's like, "This is personal because my friend is dead and spread all over the subway."
Yeah.
And so yeah, he gets invested, and then he goes home, and then finds out someone's broken into his place, and you're like, oh, okay, a bit of tension. And then there's none other than Samuel L. Jackson being his dad, and they're just sassing each other left and right, calling each other motherfuckers and whatnot. And like, this is great. More of this, please.
But I just thought it was funny, like, just to go back to the whole, like, they give everybody, like, you're in charge and you're in charge. And he's like, hey, I want to be in charge. So the chief lets him. And then they're all like, hey, man, now you're part of the team. Like, what? You put a rat on his desk. Like, why do you care? Why do you care about anything he's doing? You literally put a rat on his desk. Were you worried about him being part of the team in the first place?
Yeah.
Excuse me? And also that golden nugget of dialogue. Fuck me? No, fuck you.
Well, one of the cops puts a dead rat on Chris Rock's desk. Chris Rock is just broken in this movie because he wanted to do good. He thought he was doing good, and he's just been ostracized. And he's like,
he's going through a divorce.
Yeah, he's not having a good time. So I was kind of like, yeah, you know what? I like this Chris Rock cop. I'm on his side.
I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. So they're at their house, and his dad's the retired police chief, but he throws himself into the case, and he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna work alongside you with this, son." I'm like, okay, cool, maybe a little father-son,
little buddy cop movie.
Yeah, but
no, of course not.
No, they go to old mate's house and to say, like, the bloke that died.
Yeah, to talk to his missus.
To see his wife.
Yeah.
To talk to his missus. Who also, I really liked the costuming for this, which was I'm sad, so my makeup is smudged and I'm smoking a ciggy, so you can tell that I am sad.
Gives us sad vibes. Yeah.
There was actually a whole side story that was written out of the movie. Like, originally, this cop that got smushed by a train, he was actually supposed to have a whole backstory about how he was cheating on his wife with another man, and that's what the black SUV was. Like, when they bring up there's a black SUV. So he was having a little bit of kissy hug time with the boy, and that was supposed to be a whole other bit, but I think they kind of went, does this add anything to the story? It really doesn't. So I'm actually really glad that they didn't go down.
That's a good idea.
Like the additional 30 minutes of this movie that adds nothing.
Yes. Make it even longer.
And this is as well, like, again, referencing Bite, like, that was a tight 90, and this is 90 minutes, and it feels so much longer.
It felt like a long movie.
Yeah, it was a rough watch. Like, yeah.
Now they go back to the bloody station again.
Yes.
Chris and Crossan back to the station, and they're going over evidence. They're poring over evidence, and he's going to meet up with his dad later to go over all of the things that they found out in the day. And it gets to the point where it's like, oh man, we've been working so long, we got to call it off. I don't even look at porn this long.
He's like, we've been staring at this for 5 hours. I don't look at
all
porn
day, all night.
I fucking hope not. Like, shit.
What would you'd achieve nothing.
Got to find that perfect video.
It's a whole story about the pizza guy and where he comes from and who his mother is, and then he shows up in the porn stars.
It was a strange line. Like, it just, it didn't really fit anywhere.
And they're cops. This is what they do. Like,
he's complaining about long hours and staring at evidence. Oh, sorry, buddy.
Yeah. I want to be out being the most obvious undercover cop ever. Why am I here? And while he's looking at that, Sam Jackson is being Sam Jackson, probably the coolest part, like the coolest character in the movie at this point. Just out there looking for evidence.
Yeah,
and
he's just taking the investigation right from under his son. And he's like, no, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah. Do you know who I am? I'm the hero cop. Thank you. So.
I can see though, like that. I appreciate the fact that this is why Brock goes off on his own to do all these little missions, because Samuel L. Jackson fucks off and he's not even a cop anymore. And he's just running around looking at abandoned buildings, telling no one where he is.
Yeah.
Disappearing for days.
Okay. I kind of appreciated that Chris Rock got that from his father, sort of thing. I was like, okay, cool, I'm with you.
He would have been a terrible chief of police.
Where's the chief? Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen him in days. He's off running around in some building. Oh, okay, cool.
But at this point, I actually, at first thought, because like Sam Jackson was off doing bullshit. I was like, is Sam Jackson the jigsaw killer trying to take out crooked cops and protect his son and avenge him for getting shot? That's where my brain first went. I was like, are they trying to trick me?
Yeah, I think it was a misdirect. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
this is way too early in this episode to say, but that would have been a much better twist.
Yeah.
Yes. But you also have to remember, like, the bloke he was dropping hints the whole time that he was the fucking jigsaw killer.
And the movie tells you, I don't want to get into spoilers, but yeah, the movie literally is like, when we get to it, I'll say why, because it's so obvious.
Yeah, so the movie goes on, more cops start to get plucked off one by the big bad jigsaw cop killing boy.
The police precinct is full of assholes and people are getting chloroformed left, right and centre.
All over the place, just chloroform. It's like Oprah, you get a chloroform. You get a
Check under your seats, there's chloroform.
Yeah.
But is the second trap the finger and electricity trap? Is that one?
So this is where Chris Rock gets another Prezi and he opens it up and it's 7 fingers and a badge number of one of the dickhead cops who we ever met ever so briefly earlier. And you're like, oh yeah, good. And
that's the thing. I didn't feel sad about any.
No.
I wasn't ever like, oh no, he's going to get jigsawed. I was
he's
kind of
gonna
like,
get jigsawed.
yeah. Yeah. I was kind of like, oh, good, he's going to get fucked up.
Yeah.
I wasn't sympathetic to them whatsoever. I was like, oh, okay, good, get him.
That's the weirdest thing. All the characters are so unlikable. Like,
Yeah.
you guys even felt for Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. I was like, nah, I don't care about these guys either.
Well, this cop's trap, I can't understand it, because he's in this. We get another flashback, of course, and he's in this tub of water, and his fingers are in like this weird sort of lacy stocking kind of thing, but
Yeah, it's
they're
like a
trapped
metal
and he
stocking.
can't get them out.
Yeah.
So a lot of this, actually, I have an answer for this, why it doesn't make any fucking sense. Because is it FCC over there
Yeah, the
in
ratings
America?
board. Yeah.
Yeah, the ratings board, they were like, this is too graphic. We can't even give it an R rating.
Oh.
So they had to go back and take a whole lot of stuff out of it to let it meet so they could have that R rating and still show it in movies, because otherwise it would have been way too full on for them and they wouldn't have been able to show it.
They don't have an MA15 rating over there. They go straight from M15 to R.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so that was the one thing. The producers and stuff were saying that was one of the biggest problems. They made all these cool traps, and then when they were trying to get the rating for it, they were like, no, that's too naughty. So they would get rid of stuff and chop things down. And one of the biggest things that they found was they had to get rid of a lot of the sound effects, because apparently they would send stuff back with the sound effects taken out and they'd be like, oh yeah, that's better. We'll give you an R for that. So it's a lot of the nuance, I think, surrounding all of the traps was lost because of the rating system.
Yeah, possibly.
Right.
Because I found this quote by the director, and apparently there was a trap consisting of someone getting their face cut off, but that had to get fully removed from the movie because there was no way they were going to get that in an R-rated movie. So, like, a cool sounding trap just got completely taken out because of, the rating system.
Yeah, there you go. See, this is probably why a lot of it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, this cop that gets his fingers ripped off and he's electrocuted in his bucket of water, he's the cop that allowed Chris Rock to get shot in yet another flashback.
In the daytime! In the daytime!
So we have a flashback of rookie Chris Rock, and he's like, hey, boys, come help. And this cop that's just been murdered, he's like, nah, fuck him. Jigsaw's like, oh, you're a piece of shit, blah, blah, look, you killed a man for no reason. And he shows the footage of, he's like, you shot a man because he insulted you. And it's a traffic stop, and the guy, the innocent, sticks his hand out the window and flips off the cop, and he just pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head. Like, okay.
How does he still have a job? Like, what the hell, man?
And Jigsaw's got the vision of that, so someone's seen it. Like,
he would have got it from the police files.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's like, well, who is he? Is he a cop? But then also this trap was so elaborately set up. Was he just like out to kill this bloke anyway, and then was like, oh shit, I better find a reason, and then got that? Like,
yeah. Look,
and,
I don't.
Yeah,
know.
the guy's hands look like bloody hamburger meat too.
Oh, yeah.
Yum, yum, yum.
That part I was pretty queasy with, where his fingers are getting slowly pulled off.
That was the bit I didn't like, when his like arms got pulled to that metal bar, and then his arms couldn't go any further, and then it just started to take off. Yeah, I was like, ooh, that's a bit nasty.
These little piggies.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy gets killed by the trap as well. His traps are too hard to escape from, because as his fingers are pulled off, then he gets electrocuted. So.
Yeah, the old 1-2.
Yeah.
Yeah. The left, right, good night for old mate.
So then Chris Rock and they go to like they go to a drug den to look for clues and evidence and whatnot. And this, I mean, it just, I don't know why they left it in. Obviously, Chris Rock just thought it was really funny. So they're staking out this drug den area, and Chris Rock's like, it's like The Wire up in here, which is my favourite show of all time. Like, I've ranted about that show to you guys for years.
Constantly.
Too much. Yeah.
I never shut the fuck up about The Wire. And then, I don't know if either of you guys got this other reference. Chris Rock goes, it's New Jack City up in here, which is a movie from the 90s where Chris Rock played a junkie. So,
right.
Chris Rock is referencing in a movie, another movie he's in. I'm like, ah, stop.
This movie's got so
that's
many
so-
layers.
It's like an onion.
It is a stinky onion of a movie. Yeah, they find more evidence, and I don't know. There's just all the evidence is just so bland and boring, and basically they just keep finding little boxes, and it takes them to the next place, and they're back in the precinct. And anyway, Ciarin, carry on.
It's like the J.J. Abrams type, the present
Yeah, the mystery box.
plot.
Yeah.
The mystery box, but the mystery box keeps leading them back to the fucking station.
Oh, yay, my favorite set. The police station.
But yeah, so old mate. So after that, we don't even notice it because he's so fucking forgettable. But the rookie gets taken.
Yes,
And-
well, he's taken off screen, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
He's taken off screen, so we don't even notice. Like, he's so forgettable.
Chris Rock's calling is like, hey, bro, you're late. And then
Oh
and
yeah.
then this package shows up, and he's like, everyone step back, I'll get it. This is something we hadn't mentioned, but the rookie has a family, and he has the name of his son, Charlie, tattooed on his arm. So when the package arrives and Chris Rock examines it, he sees Charlie tattooed on this bunch of skin that's in the box. And Chris Rock's like,
Yeah.
fuck, my
Oh, dang.
partner's missing, and dearie me,
Yeah.
he's gone south.
I'm
and
on my own
they
out
go
here.
to
I think is what it's
Yeah.
meant to imply is, the only guy I
Yeah.
can trust. I'm on my own fully.
so they go to this butcher shop to see where the trap was set up.
The fucking butcher shop.
And this was the turning point for me, though,
What, to make it better
Where
or
I
worse?
where I started to put the pieces together about the big twist that was coming up. Because out of all of the traps, and all the traps were so well thought out, and each of them had meaning, but old mate, so you had old mate and the tongue thing, and but this trap, there was just a dead body hanging up, and the tape recorder just faded out into the background.
Yeah.
And and there was no flashback to him getting.
And
And the police person there just goes, oh yeah, he was skinned.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
The coroner, she's like, he was obviously
Like-
skinned, and you're like, fuck, you're good.
Yeah, and I was like waiting for another
Yeah.
Batman returned, like like the Dark Knight Rises flashback to see what happens. And I was like, okay, there's no flashback. Okay, spoiler alert, it was the rookie
Yeah.
because we didn't see him die.
And
That made me go put two and two together, and I was like, oh god damn it, it's not Samuel L. Jackson. I was genuinely pissed off because I was like, I want to see Samuel L. Jackson kill people.
the pound of skin leads into the butcher shop. And correct me if I'm wrong, boys, but is the butcher shop still open, or is that just cops?
Yeah, people are buying stuff.
So they go to the... Chris Rock's like, oh, this didn't used to be a butcher shop back in the day. It used to be something else.
Whatever it was.
Which...
A train
train
shop,
shop.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, which has no relevance to anything this movie's trying to do. And then...
See, because I thought this also, like, but until I saw the trap and he brought up his dad, I was like, oh, it must be his dad. And then they showed the shit
Yeah.
trap, well, no, the non-existent trap. So the little throwaway that was supposed to trick us ended up being ruined because the trap was shit. And also, he's a rookie. What did he do to deserve to get
Yeah,
Jigsaw?
exactly. And the thing, I was like, what connection does this have to Chris Rock? Like, he has a photo of that shop. How did the rookie know, the villain or whoever know that Chris Rock had a connection to that place?
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
make any
Is there
sense.
only
then
one
also-
butcher's in the
Doesn't.
whole city? Is that the only one?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's set in New York, which I never realised because they never mention it.
Oh,
Yeah, I
well,
didn't know.
I never realized. I never realized because all of the outdoor sets look like a backlot in an LA car park or something.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize either.
Well, they find like the dude hanging up there skinned and the apparently the partner, and yeah, the butcher shop is still open and operating like just normal business hours. No one's rattled by this man that has been skinned head to toe, hung up with the rest of the fucking frozen meat.
We got a special on human
No.
meat today, guys. Who wants? Just found this dead guy in the bag.
Hey guys, you ever watch Sweeney Todd? I have.
Yeah, so dumb.
Mrs. Mooney had a pie shop.
So Rockstar, he suddenly gets a hunch from the last clue, and he contacts the sexy police chief, and he's like, "Hey, go and check out the cold case files. Like, I think I've figured it out.
Oh, is that
which
who
is-
sent that text message? Does Chris Rock send that?
Yeah,
I didn't know who sent that. And I was like, why are we going down here? What?
I was really confused.
Yes, so was I.
I was just so confused. Like, I just stopped. Like, I was kind of like, okay, they're gonna go to another place. All right, let's go.
Yeah, the police chief, which is, well, you're going to be even more confused, Ciarin, because how did the Jigsaw know that the police chief was going to be down there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes down to the evidence room to check out. I don't understand where Chris gets his hunch from, but she goes down and gas canisters come flying left, right, and center, and she's chloroformed.
That was the biggest chloroform ever. It's
She
like,
was
she's a
asleep for
tiny little
days.
lady,
Yeah.
but yeah, how did she wake up after that?
Yeah, it's bizarre. Actually, I didn't really like. I felt a little bit queasy with this one as well, but it's the after effect, and she wakes up and she's tied to a table, and Jigsaw's like, "Hey,
Ready to get jigsawed?
yeah, you up for getting a good old jigsaw?" And she's like, "Yeah, bro, hit me."
So busy doing all these jigsaws, I've just got to do another one. So.
What is this, kindergarten? So we find out that the police chief has done some dodgy dealings in the past, and that's why she's getting jigsawed. And he's like, "Okay, here are your options. You can either sever your spinal cord on this blade under your neck,
Fuck, it's so
It's
full
so
on.
intense. Like,
or
get hot wax
You could be a
poured on you.
quadriplegic. You could be a quadriplegic or look like that guy out of Mask.
Yeah.
You know that Cher movie where his face looks like the wall of a house?
or this tap is going to pour boiling hot wax all over your face."
I'm wondering how these traps are triggered, because if she severed her spinal cord, how would the trap
know to
know
stop.
to stop pouring wax on her face?
Well, she can't move out
That's
the way.
where, she can't move out of the way. So it's like, okay, well, sever your spinal cord and get wax poured on your face. Like,
It's a win-win.
For me.
Someone's been watching House of Wax with Paris Hilton, I feel.
that's hot.
I
Anyway,
stand by.
so-
That's actually a good movie. But yeah, maybe that's
I haven't
maybe
watched
that's
it.
just me.
It's my
got-
it's my second favourite Paris Hilton movie.
Apart from that documentary about how she got kidnapped as a child, that was a good movie too.
Oh, way
right,
to bring the
Dane?
mood down, Ciarin.
There's like literally no way to get out of that. And
No.
like in the
That's what I
yeah,
mean.
like in the Saw movies, like one of them, she's got like the reverse bear trap on her face, and then she's got to cut out her eye. So if she cuts out her eye, she lives. But then this is like cut your spinal cord, lay on this bed, and then still get hot wax poured on you. And how much?
An old, like the first Saw, it was like cut your leg
Yeah.
off and you can crawl
Those guys have
out.
it easy.
Like,
yeah.
Do this and you will get this, and it's like, do this, you'll also be a quadriplegic, and I don't know how the wax is gonna stop. I'm just really hoping that it will.
Copycat Jigsaw is just a real dick.
Yeah, he's just a real big old dick.
Bag of dicks.
So yeah, Chris Rock gets there too late. He runs into the police precinct and he's like, "Why is fucking no one answering the phone?" And runs downstairs and finds her. And he starts like he peels the wax off her face. She looks like a Christmas ham, and then he tries
Delicious.
to give us CPR.
Yes.
How is that gonna help anybody?
That was the part where I gagged, because she's just sticky and melted
Yeah.
and the skin, and he's like, "Yeah, she's dead, Chris Rock." Like,
You should be able to
just
tell.
leave it.
You're a cop.
Yeah,
You should see
doesn't
someone
check
with
the-
their face melted and be like, "Oh yeah, I can bring it back. Hang on, guys." How long would that trap take to set up? Because I don't know if we've mentioned
Yeah.
it, but this happens in the police station,
Oh yeah, that's
in
something I hadn't
the
thought of.
the cold cases room. But
the
like that
evidence
table wouldn't have been there. The hot wax machine wouldn't have been there.
You
Like,
would have thought there would have been cops coming in and out non-stop. Like there would have been.
How did he get it in
Yeah.
there?
You're just raising more questions, Ryan. I
I
hadn't thought of, but now I'm
suppose.
getting angrier.
Steve, I don't think
Sorry.
we're meant to be asking these questions. I think we were just supposed to be like, oh boy, Chris Rock.
So
God.
yeah, he's upset. His partner's missing. His police chief is now dead. And also, what we hadn't touched on is that he hasn't been able to locate Samuel L. Jackson. He's been calling him.
Where's he gone?
And yeah, where is he, boys? And he's nowhere to be found. He's not answering his phone. He hasn't been home for a couple of days. And old Chris Rock. He's rattled.
Yeah, I think that's meant
Not a
to
happy boy.
be a diversion as well. Is you're like, oh well, he can't get in contact with him, so I suppose, yeah, he might be Jigsaw on the run or whatever. Yeah, it doesn't make
So-
any sense. Yep.
No. So, then Chris Rock goes to another place. It's a pointless place he's been to already, and then he gets chloroformed. You're like, oh no, Chris Rock's been chloroformed. What's going to happen now?
Chris Rock gets chloroformed in broad daylight out the front of a church.
Yeah.
By one man. Like, yeah.
Right, so he then wakes up and he's chainsawed to a pipe and there's a hacksaw within reach. Now,
fun fact.
I love this
I'm
scene.
here with all the fun facts. So every single Saw movie has a saw in it. Even if nobody uses it, they put a saw in it. So if you watch every single one, you will find a handsaw.
You know what, Ciarin? That is a fun fact.
Thank you. The next one will cost you.
I absolutely laughed out loud in this scene because I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. So, he's got handcuffs. He's tied to a pipe in this room. And he's like, oh my God, where am I? And then he looks around and he's like, oh, cool, a handsaw. Let me try it. And he picks it up and he tries it on the chain, on the handcuffs, and it doesn't work. And then he looks at his hand immediately and almost goes to cut his off his hand. And then he looks up again and he's like, oh, cool, lucky there's a bobby pin, so I didn't have to cut my hand off. And it's like, he wakes up from being chloroformed. In less than a minute, he's like, I have to cut my hand off. It's the only way out. I couldn't stand it.
He's like, I watched that 127 hours movie once. I know exactly how to get out of this.
Oh, I thought it was so funny.
James Franco, take the wheel.
Yep, that's my take.
So, yeah, he picks up the bobby pin, lets himself out of the handcuffs, but one of the other detectives who...
the guy who shot the bloke.
Yeah, sorry, we have just skipped right over a flashback. I mean, there's so many fucking flashbacks in this movie. Who can blame us? But we find out that it was Chris Rock's ex-partner shot a civilian and Chris Rock dobbed him in. So that's why this guy is now strung up. But we don't know why Chris Rock has been chloroformed yet, which, when we get to it, is so fucking stupid. It's so dumb. So his partner's there and he's chained up, standing on a stool, and like, oh, what's going on here, buddy? And it's just such a weird death contraption. So
it's very strange.
All these bottles on a conveyor belt, these empty bottles, get churned into like a grinder, and then into like some sort of jet engine that blasts all the shards of glass at this guy that's strung up. I don't get it.
Fun fact. Another fun fact.
How much will this one cost him, by the way? Doesn't matter. Not going to pay.
I'll give you summer teeth. Summer here and summer there.
Okay. Go on.
So, anyway, fun fact: this whole thing. So, Saw is a franchise that they pride themselves on their practical effects. This was a practical effect. They actually were blasting stuff.
Oh wow!
Obviously, not that much. But there was some of the stuff was getting blasted at people.
Yeah, cool.
And Chris Rock actually got nailed in the back with a shard of glass.
Oh.
For real.
Realsies.
Yeah, he was in it to win it.
Yeah. I thought that effect was pretty good. I just didn't understand what the solution was apart from that terrible puzzle.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And then, the guy's like, help me. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know how to help you either, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like the puzzle's just solved. It's just a key on a bin.
The key.
Look at the big brain on Detective Rock.
Throw away the key.
What would have been better?
Bin. And the fact that he actually was like, oh yeah, I'll look in the bin, and it was actually there.
Yeah. Oh,
Jesus.
What would have been better is if Chris is like, hang on, guys, runs over, gets the saw, comes back, cuts the guy's hands off. Don't worry, you're safe. Oh, that would have been good.
Fuck me. Because, what was it? So, going back to the whole Jigsaw killers, the whole point is that they leave, having left something behind to feel better, appreciate life more if we're going off of the original series. What was he supposed... So his prize was, you didn't die and you have a whole bunch of glass embedded in your back, so have fun living your life now with your newfound respect for having glass in your back. What? Excuse me?
Yeah, I don't understand the message that he's trying to send Chris Rock, but his ex-partner is torn to ribbons. Like, Chris Rock unlocks him out of the handcuffs, but it's too late. Like, his back has just been fucking put through the grinder itself, essentially, and then Chris Rock's sort of stumbling around. And here comes the big reveal, boys.
Oh my god.
No, boys.
Who should be in the next room but his partner himself, the Jigsaw copycat?
Oh.
Plot twist.
Yeah, so...
Whoa.
So, yeah, it was his partner's been pulling these shenanigans the whole time. And Chris Rock is pulling his stank face because he's either trying to figure it out or he's that angry with the script.
That he helped write.
Yeah.
And you know what that triggers? Another flashback.
So then we get the flashback as to why Chris Rock has been targeted, and it's for the worst reasons.
It's so dumb.
So when his ex-partner shot an innocent guy, Chris Rock, and we've seen this flashback.
We've seen this
a couple of
flashback
times building up to it.
Yeah, we've seen this flashback at least 2 to 3 times before. Like,
and it's just being told in dribs and drabs, and then so the guy shoots, Chris Rock runs up, and he's like, "What the fuck you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, this guy pulled a gun on me." And Chris Rock knows something's up. And the little kid, so the dead guy who's just been shot by the cop has a son hiding in the closet, and he pulls this shocked face that's just, I can't even describe it. It was the funniest thing in the movie. And then Chris Rock is targeted because in this flashback, he leans down to the little boy and he goes, "Shh," and then that's it. That's
why.
The reason for Chris's punishment.
That's why.
It's why he's been targeted this whole movie.
yep.
And so the Jigsaw's like, "Hey, blah, 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 blah." Gives him fucking whatever reason. And he's like, "You tried to do good and everyone fucked you over. I'm trying to do good by getting rid of the dirty cops. Let's team up.
Let's be buddies."
Yeah, and
I just want to talk about the flashback of all the things that he did and all the hints he dropped when the big reveal happened, and he's like, "Yeah, your dad was the reason why I did all of this," and all of that cryptic shit. But I just thought the thing that was the funniest to me, the whole reveal that he used Chris Rock's phone was hilarious, because Chris Rock was smart enough not to put the USB stick into his own computer, but then some random bloke that he's known for like 20 minutes, he was like, "Yeah, you can use my phone. No
and
worries."
And he leaves the room with it. Like, that was the clue I got. I was like, "Oh, that's weird. Why would..." Yeah.
Yeah, why is he going away with his phone?
He's like, "Oh, my..."
Maybe it's to... But I just thought, so he's all like tech savvy. I'm not going to put this could ruin my computer. I'm going to use yours, but you can take my phone with you and I'm not going to question it. That's okay with me.
And he obviously, so what the partner does, and this is a bit we've skipped over because it's so fucking irrelevant. The partner messages Chris Rock's dad from Chris Rock's phone. He's like, "Hey, I know who did this. Meet me here." And that's how he abducts Samuel L. Jackson. But did Chris Rock not check his sent messages?
No, he deletes it.
Like that? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He's smart enough to do that.
Yeah, I remember that because I was like, "Oh, this is dumb," and then. Yeah, he goes, "Delete message." And I was like, "Okay, good. I'm glad we covered that."
So he's like, "Yep, we're gonna team up. You and me, buddy. We're gonna clean up this city."
It also suspends logic a bit. So this rookie, his whole MO and his whole life's goal was to get on that squad to fuck them all over. But what if he never got on that squad? Like, what if he ended up somewhere else? Like, what if, a lot of this stuff wouldn't have worked in the real world, like in reality, like none of this is realistic. And then I think it's also a bit ironic that he is killing cops because his dad was killed. But and he's like, "I don't have a my dad's dead," and it's like, well, they had kids. You were playing with the kids in the street. Do you not? That's a bit hypocritical.
The killer pretends to have a family, but then he goes and kills real people with families.
Yeah, I actually have a note about that ADR. I was like, what the fuck is with that ADR baby cry? But they answered that he didn't actually have a baby, and he was playing ADR baby noises.
Yes, it's just silly.
I have a major problem with the villain. So, when he gets supposedly skinned, you hear the villain say, "Oh, and I tattooed my child's name on this guy so that you guys would think it was me," pretty much. And then he
So did he get a tattoo to pretend that he had a child?
Is that something? But then he sends Chris Rock that package. They're at a police station. Would they not check it for DNA or anything? Because then they would be like, oh wait, this isn't our friendly detective.
Well, I guess that would be the only. I guess that was like the only realistic thing is that DNA takes a while to come back. So I guess we're rooted in reality there, boys. If we, it's the one realistic thing in this movie.
God, Chris Rock agrees to team up with him in return for his daddy. He's like, I'll do it. Where's my father? He's like, I'll show you. So he's like, but before I do, let me call the cops. So the villain calls the cops. He's like, hey, there's shooting at this old warehouse. And he pulls out a gun and he fires a couple of shots in the air to get the police their quick sticks. And he's like, all right, Chris Rock, I'll give you your puppy. You know, I've got to trust you. Here's a gun. I'll show you where your dad is. And he leads in there, and there's Samuel L. Jackson strung up like a little puppet. And he's getting his blood drained out of him by like a dozen needles, and there's jars filled with blood. And the villain's like, okay, here's a deal. So, you know, your dad's actually super corrupt. He implemented this whole regime where the cops basically had absolute power, and that's why all these dirty cops were just killing everyone, because they could just, like the villain from Lethal Weapon 2, just acting with immunity.
Yeah.
And the cops were just doing whatever they wanted without repercussions, and Chris Rock's father was the one that implemented that. And he's like, all right, well, you know, you could save your father and kill me.
The gun that he gave Chris Rock only has one bullet, and Sam Jackson's trap has to be shot for Sam Jackson to be released.
Yes, yeah, he's got to shoot this little target. He's like, you know, save your father, I'll disappear, kill me, your father dies. And anyway, Chris Rock pulls off this miraculous shot. Samuel L. Jackson falls to the ground covered in blood. And then there's a bit of fisticuffs. Chris Rock charges at the jigsaw killer and they start punching on. And the cops are storming the stairs and everything's happening. And Samuel L. Jackson's laying there dying. The cops start to cut through the door of the room that they're in with like a grinder kind of thing, which then re-triggers the trap. And Samuel L. Jackson is hoisted back up into the air. And Chris Rock's like, what the fuck? And the cops storm in, and then the trap. It's so dumb. And
it's like laughably dumb. Like you just watch it and you go, "What is this?"
It's like that season 1 of Fargo where he straps that guy to the exercise bike,
Death by
and
cop.
he's got his hand. Yeah.
So yeah, the trap sets off Samuel L. Jackson, and it makes him raise a gun towards the cops coming through the door. So the cops pump him with like 50 bullets.
Like a ridiculous amount of bullets. Like every single cop unloads their full magazine into Samuel L. Jackson.
And the unlimited magazine too.
Yeah, think of that scene from Predator when they open fire on the forest. That is literally it. Oh.
So Chris Rock's dead, and the villain jumps in the elevator.
Sam Jackson's dead. Chris Rock's not dead.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson's dead.
And the villain jumps in the elevator, and Chris Rock turns and screams, and the guy just kind of shrugs. And he's like, "Oh well," and then black. That's Spiral.
Yeah.
That's it.
Harkening back to Saw 2, the abrupt closed door ending of "Haha, I got you."
Oh, but Saw 2's was so much more effective.
Well, yeah, because
you cared about that character.
The stakes were higher. We cared about the character. The villain had like an understandable motive, and it made more like it was like, okay, cool, there's gonna be another one. Fuck yeah, I'm keen. Yeah. This one, it's like, please do not subject me to more of this bullshit.
Yeah, like this, like number 2, like leaves you with this dread. It's like he's been caught in a jigsaw trap now. Whereas this one, you're like, oh, I guess Jigsaw's just going down the elevator, and I suppose there's no cops at the bottom of the elevator. And Chris Rock's just in the room with his dead dad that just got blown to smithereens by the police.
It's just like, but like, what if they took the stairs and they caught him? Like, what if there were more cops outside? There was no because the whole thing for the last one was that they were isolated. They're in the room alone. He tricked everyone. Like, absolutely everybody. He tricked him because he bamboozled him so good And that was like the whole thing, because the big reveal in Saw 2, spoiler alert, if you haven't realised that there's fucking spoilers in this, then fuck you.
We love you.
I'm sorry. So the whole big reveal so the whole premise of Saw 2 is that they're watching all of these CCTV cameras in a house, and people are being tortured in a house.
Right.
And the man's son, the detective's son, is in the house. So they're trying to find the house, but the big reveal when he does make it to the house is that everything was pre-recorded. His son was actually under
In a safe
room.
place, it says, and it happens to be in a safe in the corner of the room where he was the whole time. Yeah.
So his son was literally 10 feet away from him the whole time, and he was watching pre-recorded events. And so he gets to the house, and Jigsaw's followers meet him there, and he's trapped in the room, and nobody knows because he bamboozled everybody. The stakes are way higher. It's a huge, shocking reveal. I didn't see it coming when I was watching it for the first time. It genuinely got me.
Yeah.
This was just like, oh, we got away.
Yeah.
See you later.
all he had to do was like twinkle his fingers together and give like an evil laugh as he was going down the elevator. Like I would,
Mr. Burns
yeah,
style.
literally, like, oh, this movie sucks.
Okay. So, what did we think of Spiral?
I not to harken on what I've been saying, but the whole point, I get that they were trying to make like something that was a bit more removed from Saw, but the whole point of Saw was completely lost.
Yeah.
Like the first Saw movie, you know, you had to pay a huge price, but you'd walk away with your freedom. I really felt like Jigsaw's whole MO was not to teach people to appreciate their life more and leave the traps having learned a lesson. I feel like it was most of the traps were pretty inescapable. Like, you have to make yourself a quadriplegic or get wax poured on your face. You got to have your tongue get ripped out, but then your whole bottom jaw gets ripped off. Like, they would have all died anyway, and some of them did get out of the trap halfway, but they died regardless. I genuinely just think it was like a revenge movie where everybody just dies, and it was just, you know, really fucked up ways to die.
And revenge for the silly... Like, why not target just one dude? Like, not the whole police precinct. Like, he had an agenda against... Well, I guess two. Against Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock's ex-partner. That was it. Like, no one else needed to die.
No, it was quite needless. That's what I mean. Everything... There was no rhyme or reason. It was just... He was killing people. And the police procedural aspect, I was actually kind of like, oh, this will be refreshing, because normally there are cops involved, but they're not actually...
they're not the main focus of the movie, normally.
Yeah, and the actual cop part is not the focus. The trap part is the focus. So I was like, oh, well, this will be interesting, but it tried too hard to emulate the camera work and effects that echoed the original movies, but also it kept going back, nah, it's not the same, so it was just kind of like confusing what they were trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And I thought that like they had such a great cast of actors. Like they had Chris Rock, they had that bloke from The Handmaid's Tale, they had Samuel L. Jackson, but
Max
it felt
Minghella,
like,
I believe his name is.
Yeah, that guy. But it felt like Tommy Wiseau helped write the dialogue. Like, it was just terrible.
Well, I watched an interview with Chris Rock earlier, and they're like, hey, so how did you get Samuel L. Jackson to do this? And he's like, we paid him.
He wasn't the right person for the role or anything, or
no,
you could only see him as...
He didn't have a vested interest.
Yeah,
I
you could
thought
only see him as this character, but...
Yeah, I thought they were great as his father and son. Like, they're a distant father and son. Like, he follows in his father's footsteps, and his father's kind of annoyed by this as well. But yeah, it was just... Yeah, for that quality of movie, it has like a AAA star like Samuel L. Jackson and maybe a C grade, B plus kind of guy like Chris Rock, who doesn't do a lot of acting.
No.
I still do need to see the latest season of Fargo. But it was just, I was just like, oh yeah, there's Chris Rock, there's Samuel L. Jackson. It just would have worked so much better with a no-name.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would have rather not to have his dad in it. I don't see what that added to the story.
Yeah,
like,
apart from a fake out that
didn't...
he was the villain.
they didn't have, like, there was no development of their relationship to a point where I cared about his relationship with his dad. It was kind of just like, you know, when we said that old mate's hands got turned into hamburger meat, I was kind of like, oh yeah, he's gonna get jigsawed. Like, it's there was not enough, like, there was too many moving parts going on to care about anybody.
But none of the parts were done well. Like, they were all so mediocre. Yeah. Everything else suffered as well. Yeah. I don't know. My like big thing would be uninspired, unoriginal, and just boring. Like,
did we find any reviews?
Yes.
Yes.
Ciarin.
Also, the 10th installment has been greenlit, so
Oh wow.
I'm really hoping that they don't make something remotely like this.
Well, I was reading up on that today, and the people, like the big Saw fans, are saying Chris Rock has to become the villain. So in the next one, Chris Rock becomes the new Jigsaw, or even is like the apprentice to Nick from Handmaid's Tale. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that could be interesting, I suppose.
It'd be different.
Yeah. This movie sucks.
Yeah. Who's got a good review? Oh, actually, Dane, you haven't told us what you thought about it.
Well, yeah, look, like I said, as someone who hasn't seen any of the Saws, I was quite intrigued by this because the trailer kind of had me hooked, and I know that's kind of a poor reason to watch a movie for the trailer. But anyway, I was like, yeah, Chris Rock playing a gritty police detective in this gritty serial killer movie. Boys, I'm in. Show me my ticket. But yeah, that first 10 minutes, I thought, cool. From then on, I was like, oh, bored. Boring as shit. And I had to watch this movie twice because the first time I was so bored and uninterested, I stopped taking notes and I forgot what happened. So I had to force myself to sit through this again. And thankfully, it actually runs at a very respectable 126 minutes because of the credits. So when I realised that, I was like, oh, this isn't as bad as the first time. Yeah, I couldn't recommend it really. Like, I'd love to watch the original Saws one day, but it's stinky. It's sitting at 5.3 on IMDb, 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, could have come away with anything from it.
Genuinely, like, the first Saw movie was such a game changer, and it was actually a really well made film. So it's kind of sad that it's devolved into this type of stuff.
But can we be that surprised when there is 10 films in the series?
Yeah. I hope that they just go back and do that prequel that got interrupted when this thing came along.
Well, who wants to go first with their reviews?
I do.
We'll jump right in.
Every time I hear Chris Rock talk, I think of Madagascar.
That's what I said the other night.
2 stars.
I have a good one from Letterboxd. 0 stars from Demi. So nice to see a comedy in theaters again. Which I was like, yes, that's a good one.
Well, there was 2 though I found just really divisive. So there was a 1 star that says, I was gripped for the first 5 minutes, and then I got bored by the poor plot and lost interest. And I was like, wow, is this my review? And then there was a 5-star one that said, best Saw movie ever made. And I'm like, Chris Rock wrote that review, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. I'm very unimpressed. Highly unrealistic. They turned the pig from being a symbol for rebirth, like it has in the past films, into an insult and jab at cops. They politicized a horror film, and while yes, this is a movie, they should at least try to base around a sense of realism. 1 star.
Ouch.
That's Spiral, I guess.
Spiral from the Book of Saw. Oh my god.
Ryan, you know what time it is.
What time is it?
It's time for you to pick a movie.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I've got a good one. I think it's an interesting one because I really like it. And after I raised it with you, Dano, you said you hated it. So I think we are going to do A Quiet Place Part 1 because I saw A Quiet Place and I loved it in the theaters. And I saw 2 and I really liked 2 as well. So I think, we might do A Quiet Place Part 1.
We'll talk about it next week.
Well, I will stand by this. It is 100% better than Spiral. I will die on this hill.
Look, I mean, I could probably agree with you there. Alrighty, Ciarin, Ryan. Well, thanks for watching Spiral with me. And like I said, I'm sorry we had to sit through it.
Thank you, Dane, for your apology. It is not accepted.
Yeah, just choose a better movie next time, please.
Okay. Alright, fucking Ryan. Yeah, well, next week we'll, do A Quiet Place.
Do it again.
All right.
Alrighty, boys. Well, you take care and I'll see you then.
See you later.
I love you very much. Goodbye.
I love you, buddies. Bye-bye.
Love you guys. Bye.